Okay, good morning, everybody, and good morning, Anth. It is such a pleasure to be here this morning with Anth, who's actually based in Vietnam. Is that right? Yes?
Sure is.
Living the dream, living the virtual dream. And I'm in Sydney today. We are going to be talking about one of the things that I hear our clients of the Growth Hub and people in the business of property as one of their major challenges at various stages of their business life cycle. Usually at the beginning, but many stages of the business, talking about how they would like more clients and how they would like to bring on more leads and more ideal clients. So we've really taken that on board because we're always thinking about how can we support our clients and how can we support buyers agents, property wealth advisors and strategists and people in the business of property. So we've brought Anf on board today to really deep dive into this. So Anf is going to present for about the next 45 minutes. And then we are going to have a question and answer section at the end. So I would ask you to reserve any questions until the end. And very shortly, I'm going to be handing over to Anth. Anth, are you there?
I am here. I'm having this little thing with Zoom where it's like you can set the view and you can have like, I'm trying to get it to speaker view, but it's not letting me do it. So I'm going to do this instead.
There's changes to Zoom every time I go on it. So there we
Okay.
go. I can
Here
see you. I can see you at least. So,
All right.
so over to you, Anth.
Thank you.
You can take it away.
Love it. Thanks, Catherine. All right. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining in, whether you're live here with us or you're watching a replay. If you are based in anywhere around the world, this is for you. So the topic of today's presentation is Unlock the Secret to Successful Lead Generation Marketing. Now, I was asked this question the last time we did this. What is lead generation marketing and how does it differ from your traditional marketing? And really, my response to that is a lot of marketing. There's different types of marketing and not all marketing is focused on lead gen. And the example that I like to give here is with larger brands like corporates, they will typically run what's known as brand awareness campaigns, and those you might think of driving past an airport and you see a big banner in the sky and it might have a Coca-Cola logo on there or some kind of logo and nothing much else on there, and so those type of campaigns really are designed to keep the brand in your mind, to keep that brand alive, and they're not really trying to sell a new product or they're not launching something, right? They're basically just saying, okay, we're still around, we're here, and that's what that's for. So for small businesses, we typically don't have the budgets to run those type of campaigns, and then if your goal is to generate more leads and sales, then a lead generation marketing campaign is probably the better option, and we're going to talk about that right now. Okay, so as people are coming in, you might hear the ding ding sound. I'm hearing it, but that's what's happening. Okay, so bit of background. My name is Anfernee Chansamooth, as Catherine mentioned. I'm a marketing strategist at the Growth Hub, and I'm also the founder of Authentic Marketer, which is a business I've been running for about we're going on to 7 years now. And I've helped companies like Bean Ninjas, Hub Australia, Systemology, and Realize Business, which grow revenue through their programs, through their marketing. Some of the results generated just in the last 12 months for myself and some clients. In the last 90 days for my website, for theauthenticmarketer.com, we're at 2.7 thousand visitors per month on the site, 94,000 views in the last 30 days on the content there. I also helped a client with 65 leads with a 5-day challenge. That was the result. Another client we worked on for 5 months, a series of virtual events similar to what we're doing now, and we generated 427 leads in that period. I had one client reach out to me and say, help me with LinkedIn, and within 30 days of working with them, this is a business coach, we were able to get 70,000 views and a number of leads coming through from the work that we did there. I also have a podcast outreach service and I helped one business generate or get booked on 13 podcasts in a 5-month window, which was great for them. Okay, I won't get into the publications, but you might recognize some of those names. And I've also worked with, for those who are in Sydney, in New South Wales, Parramatta Chamber of Commerce. So I was their social media guy for a while, volunteer, and then I helped them with some of their events. And I had the fortune of working with a resort in Bali as well, which was nice because I like Bali. Okay, so thank you for everyone who's registered, and you asked a question, which was, what's your biggest marketing challenge in the form you filled in when you registered? And here's the results for everyone that registered. So very clearly in green, 52.9% of registrants said that generating traffic and leads was their biggest marketing challenge. Okay, so you're on the right webinar to address that particular challenge. The second one, just if you're interested, was 17% of people said no marketing plan. And then the third was keeping up with latest trends in marketing and technology. And that's always changing, right? So let's go. So what we're going to cover today, right? We're looking at the 3 common mistakes that hold businesses back in lead generation. I'll touch on the number 1 factor that separates successful marketing from inconsistent and ineffective marketing. And I'll give you a framework for developing a marketing strategy that supports actual business growth. And then we'll wrap up by sharing how the Growth Hub can support you in achieving marketing success in 2023 and beyond. All right, let's look at the 3 mistakes with lead gen marketing. Okay, before we jump into this, I want to welcome again people who've joined in. If you want to just pop in the chat, where you're from, where you're calling in from. It's morning here for me. I'm in Vietnam. It's like 7 a.m. But if you just want to let us know where you're at, that's really cool. And maybe just a little bit about your business. What is your business? What do you do? So we can get to know each other a bit more as well. And I will mention that as I go through the slides, I'm going to be speaking a little fast because we're cramming a lot into 45 minutes, and I want to give you a ton of value. And the other thing is, if any questions come to mind or thoughts, feel free to put them in the chat, because we're going to circle back at the end. And if you've asked any questions, we're going to come and answer those questions at the end, okay, as Catherine mentioned. All right, so the 3 common challenges with marketing for small business. Number 1, poor positioning and an unclear target audience, right? I like to use the analogy or what you're seeing on the screen here. It's like you're driving into a fog, right? And you're not clear, who you're really serving, and this is what your messaging isn't clear. And so if you're not clear on the other end, your clients that you're trying to reach, they're not clear because they don't know, well, do you serve us? Do you serve someone else, right? And that's really comes down to how well you're positioning your business and what you do and who you serve, right? The second biggest challenge is doing too much at once. And I know Catherine has heard this a lot from her clients, and I certainly have with mine, is just like this, this gentleman on the screen here, too many balls in the air, juggling them all at once. And what happens, eventually they're going to all drop, okay? And usually what happens is not only do the balls drop, but the business owner burns out and they drop. So that's the situation we definitely want to avoid, right? And the third biggest challenge is not optimizing for Google and local search, particularly if you have a business that has a local office, or you focus on a local area, right, within whether it's your suburb, your states, or even just if you consider Australia as your local area, that's fine. But certainly being able to localize and work on optimizing for Google search engine is something that's very important, right? Okay, so pop quiz, quick question, right? Which are you struggling with most? So if you're on live with us, please pop your answer in the chat. A, B, or C. A, poor positioning and unclear targeting. B, doing too much at once. And C, not optimizing for Google and search engines, okay? I'm just gonna have a quick sip of water, and yes, please, yes, engage with us, right? This is an opportunity just for you to also get clear on what's going on with you and your business. I can see there are a couple of people. Amal has dialed in from Melbourne. Hi, Amal, good morning. And then we've got, okay, mortgage broker and finance broker. Awesome. All right, so great business. Okay, so we've got an A, positioning and an unclear target market as a response there. I know when I that was something I struggled with for a long time, like at least the first 3 years of my business, trying to work that out. And then once we clarified what that was, things started to change, right? Okay. Now let's consider you don't address those 3 particular, issues, right? What happens 12 months later or 24 months later? Okay, and you're still attracting the wrong audience. This is what happens, right? Your marketing spend increases because now you're throwing more money at different strategies and tactics and things like that. Maybe you put $10,000 into Google ads, or, you hire an SEO consultant or a firm, or you do other things, in real estate, you might be dropping flyers in people's mailboxes, right? Whatever it is that you're doing all this effort, but you're getting lower conversion rates, right? So, you're putting marketing out, but you're not getting the leads and the sales that you want to actually grow the business and sustain the business. You get a lower return on investments, already spend, but you're not getting the results you want. Okay. And the impact of that is you're not being seen as credible and trustworthy, right? Which hurts your brand. And then the real biggest, the longer impact here is a lack of success and profitability for the business, right? So these are the things that we want to help you address. And we're going to talk about how we can do that. Okay. Now let's flip over to the other side, and we're going to take a look at why businesses succeed in lead generation and others don't. Okay. The first one, and really these are the opposites of what we just went through, right? So the first one is clear positioning and a well-defined target audience, right? Think of it like if you've ever done archery, you stand in front of the bullseye, you pull your arrow back, and you're aiming at the center. That's where you're going for, right? So when you have clear positioning and a well-defined target audience, that's what you're doing. You're aiming directly, with your marketing and advertising. You're going for them, and it makes it easier. That also reduces all your advertising costs, because now you're not trying to target everybody, and you're reducing it to a smaller segment of the population or the business population, and therefore you get much more better accuracy with the way you do things. Number 2, you're doing just enough, right? And focusing on what matters for bringing you the results that you want. Okay, and like this guy, why is he on a high wire, and why is he walking across this wire? It's really about someone who's doing that is very focused. There's only one direction they got to go, right? And they got to go focused. They're balanced, okay? Because if you're not balanced and you're not focused in the right direction, you're going to fall off, okay? And so this is really what it's all about. And you want to be focused in that way, and really balanced in terms of where you're putting your energy, your budgets, and your team as well. I know some of us are working with champions with the Growth Hub, and some of us are looking to bring on potentially some support with marketing as well. Okay, and third, when you are optimized, right, successful businesses are optimized for search engines and local search. They act as, it's like in this scenario here where your client, imagine your client is the little boat there in the bottom corner, right corner, and they're lost, right? They're in a storm. They're trying to get some help, support, and your business and you are the lighthouse, right? You're the shining light that attracts them, because you're able to help them, bring them to safety, or in their case, bring them to success, whatever that is for them, right? And so that's really, another key element of successful businesses. Okay, so which of those 3 do you want the most, right? So just pop that in the chat. A, clear positioning and well-defined target audience. B, just doing enough and focusing on what actually matters. And or C, optimizing for Google and local search. Feel free to pop your answer in the chat. Thank you for the engagement. It's also, as a presenter, it always helps me, like when I know I'm talking to real people and I'm not just talking to myself. I do that enough. My wife will tell you. Okay, so A and B. Okay, wow. Catherine, you want to jump in there? Is there a comment? I see Catherine's laughing. Okay.
Sorry, someone just knocked on my door and gave me a heart attack.
Oh my gosh, there you go. Oh, we got a couple of A's, got a A and a B. Okay, we want a couple of those things. Fantastic. And so here is, right, if we combine all those 3 things together, right, we get what is really the number 1 success factor, right, for those who are successful with their marketing campaigns, and that's it. And that is that they have a clear game plan what we call a marketing growth strategy. All right. On the screen right now is a screenshot of a document that we actually use to work with our clients when we're working through their marketing growth strategies with them. As you can see on the left-hand side, there are a series of steps that we go through, and this is based on a framework that I'm going to share with you in a moment. Okay, and it's night and day. People who come in and have no idea, like they're just doing all these different things, to after we work through the strategy session and they come out with an actual game plan. It makes it really simple for them then just to focus on the game plan, all right, and not get caught in shiny object syndrome and doing all these other things and feeling overwhelmed and spent, right? So this is really the benefit of having such a plan. Okay, so let's jump into the framework. All right, so we have developed here at the Growth Hub our marketing growth strategy framework, and there's really 3 parts to the framework. It starts off with what we call the discover phase. Okay, and this is where we actually jump into, well, what is your business? Who do you, let's look at the different elements of what makes your business, your target audience. And we also look at what we call your signature offer. And that's really, the core offer that your business provides, right? And the service, if you've got a service business, most of us that are on this call are service businesses. I have worked with some product businesses, but, let's consider for now that your signature offer is the offer that you put out in your advertising, your marketing, the message that's going out to your target audience, right? That resonates with them, that lets them know straight away, oh, you're the business that can help us achieve what we want to achieve, right? The second part of the framework is what we call diagnose, and this is where we actually, like a doctor diagnosing a patient, we're looking at different parts of your business. We're looking at what current activities, marketing activities that you're doing, right? What's working and what's not. So it's an evaluation. Think of it like a checklist. You just go through a checklist of these are, I'll take you through the process, but essentially we just write down, or you would write down a list of different activities you're doing right now. And then you would evaluate, okay, what's actually working and what's not, right? What can be improved, okay? And sometimes it's a case of what can be removed, right? Because it's about simplification. We also look at your channels, okay? So what are the different ways that you're getting in touch with your prospective clients? And then finally, we take a look at, you map out and understand what is your current sales funnel, what is the buyer's journey that they go through, right? From the first contact point that they learn about what you do to all the way through to becoming a client. And then afterwards as well, your buyer's journey doesn't end from at the sales conversation and them paying you money, right? It actually continues beyond that. And so what are you doing to then activate them, build a great relationship, deliver on your promise, and then also turn them into advocates that end up promoting your business for you. Okay, and that's really a fantastic journey that you can take someone on. And the final part, or the third D I like to say as part of our framework here is what we call deliver. And this is where we actually map out the game plan for your next. Usually we're doing 90 days with our clients, but some clients want to do 30-day plans or 60-day plans. I think it just depends on where you're at with your current business and also your capacity. All right. So if you want to do a new plan every 30 days, that can get very hectic. And I think typically, the way we structure it, we're focusing on one key project that you can deliver to get clients within a 90-day period, and then putting all your energy and effort in, or most of your energy and effort into doing that. All right. And then the final part of the game plan is to understand who you need to help you execute. Because if you're a one-person team, or you've got, maybe you've got an admin person, or maybe you've got a marketing support person, whatever it may be, then you need to think about, what resources you've got and what skills you have in-house, and then what skills you might need to outsource or bring on to help you deliver on the project and what you're trying to achieve. Okay. So yeah, discover, diagnose, and deliver. They are the 3 elements of the framework. Okay. Feel free to screenshot this if you want to take a look at it. And it's a nice, I deliberately put it as a nice checklist so you can check through how it works. Okay. Now we're going to deep dive into the discover phase. All right. With a 40-minute presentation, I don't have time to take you through the whole thing. And this is certainly what we do with our clients when they engage us for a one-on-one strategy. support, right? So I'll tell you more about that at the end, but for now, we're going to get into discover, okay? So quick question, all right? So this is related to the discover phase. The first question we're going to start off is what are your top 3 marketing goals for the next 12 months, right? So have a go, answer, in the chat, right? What is the aim of your marketing? Right? Think about the target, right? That bullseye and the archer shooting the arrow. Okay, if where are you wanting to go with your marketing in the next 12 months, and where are you headed with your business? What are you trying to achieve by marketing, right? Through your marketing. Okay, so yeah, if you want to just pop in the chat, just some ideas around what those goals are, okay? That really helps us as a starting point to understand, okay, well, that's the aim, right? That's what I'm trying to achieve, okay? Sometimes I hear very vague answers to this question, like I want to grow my brand, something like that. And to me, that's not a measurable goal. I usually would follow up with, okay, well, how do we measure that? If that's your goal, right? So what's the measure? Is it that you have, 10,000 followers on LinkedIn? Is it that you have, your email list has grown has doubled in that 12-month period? What is it, right? So very curious to hear. And then I'm going to share in the next slide, I'm going to share some key metrics that we usually work with our clients on measuring, and at least starting to measure, because there's certain things that I feel are very useful to look at. Okay, so we've got Amal saying, number 1, to increase digital presence; 2, generate consistent leads; 3, optimize Google SEO. Okay, I love all those. Fantastic. Thanks, Amal. Great goals to have. All right. Okay, so let's look at some key marketing metrics that you may want to consider adopting or using, or you may already have them in your business, and that's cool. Okay, the first one is monthly and annual revenue. All right, so business growth is measured through revenue. It's measured through dollars. All right, and for a business to be sustainable and profitable, okay, we need to look at that as a metric. And the question I commonly get here is, well, and revenue is really a sales metric. That's not really a marketing metric. And I would argue that any marketing you're doing comes at an expense to your business, and therefore it has to some way generate revenue for you, right? Because you're allocating your budget, your finances in a way that you're putting messages out there to bring in new clients. Why else are you doing it? Okay, revenue, key metric. Next metric is customer lifetime value. Okay. Really, when you're at the beginning, if you're in the early stages of the business in the first year or 2, this may not be a big deal for you just yet, but at some point you want to at least understand, if someone signs up with you, purchases a service or works with you in some way, how long do they normally stick around? And then how much is that worth to the business? All right. And there's a formula here if you're curious. But it's really estimating the total amount of money. And this is an estimate. It's not an accurate number. You won't really know until, 5 years or 10 years or 20 years down. I would say at least in the 5-year period, you'd understand what that is. But you want to estimate the total amount of money a customer will spend on your business over the course of their lifetime as a customer, right? This speaks to retention as a metric, but I won't get into all that. But it really looks at how well are you serving your clients, because if you're serving them really well, they'll stick around longer, right? And the value of the client to your business is a lot more, yeah? Here's how you calculate it. It's basically, it's average sale value multiplied by the number of times they buy something from you, and that's divided by your customer churn rate, which is the rate at which they stop becoming a client. And usually that's a percentage. There's another calculation for that, but I won't get into all the math here, right? So customer lifetime value, important one. You can just estimate that, right? The third metric here is customer acquisition cost, okay? And this really is the cost of acquiring a new customer. How much do you need to spend to bring in a new customer, right? And we can start to work these things out when we measure, how much we're spending on each campaign, right? So this is really a good reason that we focus on one key project per quarter with our clients, because then we can then easily track how much are you spending for that particular project, right? And then how many which is the next metric, we can then work out how much that's costing the business, right? So customer acquisition cost is total marketing and sales costs, so combining the two, divided by the number of new customers acquired in a specific time period, right? And then cost per lead, similar to acquisition costs, but this is more specific to getting a lead, so that it's someone who is potentially becoming a client, but not just yet, right? So this is the cost of acquiring a lead, which is the total cost of the marketing campaign divided by the number of leads generated by that campaign, right? And those two things tie together, right? And then the final metric here is your marketing return of investment. This is the number one question I get from a lot of business owners is, what's the return of investment if I put money into social media, or if I hire a VA, or I hire an agency, or these kind of things? Well, you can calculate that, right? It's really the revenue generated from a marketing campaign divided by the cost of running that campaign, okay? And then that way, you can then see, all right, if I spend this amount of money, this is this is the ROI I'm going to get from that, right? But it's not a metric that you measure you forecast the metric. It's one that it's in hindsight. You have to actually run the campaign to be able to measure the campaign. Okay, so 5 key marketing metrics, right? I can see, with the responses in the chat here, some of these are already there. So, generating. If the goal is to generate consistent leads, then I would, as the metric for that, I'd be looking at what's the number of leads coming into the business per month, per quarter, per year. And then I'd also be looking at what's the cost per lead, right? How much does it cost the business to bring those leads in? Yeah. Okay, I hope that's been helpful for some people. And then, that can help you work out what are your goals and how do you measure those goals, right? Okay, now we're going to move on to the second part of the Discover part of the framework, and that is 4 questions to clarify your target audience, right? So the first one, and this is, again, for those who are on live with us, have a go at answering this in the chat, but certainly, who is your target audience? Have a go at describing them, right? So if you run if you're a mortgage and finance broker, like Amol is on a call with us right now, who is your ideal client, or who's your target audience for what you do? Okay, so have a go at just answering that, right? Because this is going to help you again focus your advertising and your marketing. If Catherine is still there, I'll ask Catherine in a moment, but maybe Catherine can let us know who is the target audience, or ideal audience for the Growth Hub. Okay. We have an answer here. Oh, thanks, Amal. So investors looking to grow their portfolio, secure finance, and looking to structure their loans correctly. Nice. That's nice and succinct. It's very clear that you're supporting investors, right? Okay, we've got small business property. Ashay saying the Growth Hub, we support small business property owners. Absolutely correct. And we also support services businesses as well. So we do have some coaches in our mix. Okay. The second question related to the first question is, why are you uniquely qualified to serve them? Okay. And this is where we get into a bit of your background and your story as the owner of the business, the founder, right? How is your background related to your audience, right? So, and I feel oftentimes this is a missed part of the messaging, and businesses or business owners not effectively communicating this, right? It's like, well, we serve, in our cases, we support real estate businesses at the Growth Hub. We support other business coaches and whatnot. And if you look at the story of the founder, which is Cheryl Leong, she's been working in the real estate industry for over a decade. She also coaches and mentors. So, and she's also hired and worked with other coaches and mentors. So her background is directly related to the type of businesses that she supports, right? And I know, the team here, myself, Catherine, we have similar background and experience working with those types of businesses and industries. Yeah. And that's why it's important. And that also, you think about hiring, bringing on team members, that's important as well, right? Like they have some kind of connection to that industry. It gives them value, and it's really why the Growth Hub get. I've seen some of the inquiries coming through for the business where people say, we work with the Growth Hub. I've done some case studies with some of our clients, and they've actually said, the reason why they signed up with the Growth Hub and got a champion, or what we call a champion, a virtual assistant through the Growth Hub, is because we specialize in the Australian property market, and have champions who are trained in that industry, right? And so, back to the question: why are you uniquely qualified to serve them? How is your background related to theirs? Have a go at answering that question. What is it, about your story and your background and your experience that makes you qualified to help your target audience? The third question here, which is an extension of the second question, is what evidence, results, or social proof do you have to demonstrate credibility? Okay, so if you're putting out a promise, right, or and you say that you can help your clients solve a certain problem, or achieve a specific outcome, right? Do you have case studies, testimonials, these sort of things available, right, in your marketing, on your website? Are you putting out on if you're doing social media, right, whatever it may be? Have you got that kind of evidence, right? So make a note of that as you're going through these questions, right? And the way I like to do it is to actually think about who my clients are or were, all right, and then say, okay, for each client, make a list. Okay, which of those clients did I help to achieve this particular result, or what was the result we helped the client to achieve? It's probably a better question. And then if you make a list of those, then you can map those directly to the first two questions, right? If you're saying that you help clients secure their next investment property in within 6 months or within 12 months, right? And then you have 3 or 5 or 10 clients that you've helped achieve that one result. That's amazing, okay? And that immediately levels up your credibility with your prospective clients, because they can see that you've been able to do it with other clients before, right? And the final question here is, what do you offer to your customers that makes them choose you over your main competitors, right? In marketing speak, we call this your unique differentiating factor. There's different ways of saying that, but it's really, what does it that makes your business different to your competitors, and why do customers choose you over your competitors? Okay, and you'll notice all these questions require conversations with your customers, your clients, right? It's a good exercise to just sort of sit down and visualize and aim for specific categories and things like this. But this really becomes powerful when you actually interview your customers and get on a call with them and talk about these things, right? And they're telling you in their own words, like, this is why we work with you. This is why we love you. This is, the results that you've helped us achieve, right? And this is why we choose you over the competitors, right? These are valuable conversations to have with your customers and clients. And it's something that when I work with our clients, I definitely build this into their marketing system, right? Is have a regular activity where you're reaching out to your customers and getting on calls with them. And they don't always have to be necessary case studies that you put on your website. Sometimes it just can be a private conversation just for research purposes, right? If customers if they don't want to be publicly viewable, that's okay too, right? It's better if you can get it as a case study, but it's not always possible. Okay, so those are 4 questions to clarify your target audience. Take the time to answer those, right? Just time check here. Okay, good. All right, so what do you, the final question here in that discover step of our developing our marketing strategy is, what do you want to be known for? Okay, and this sometimes confuses people when I ask this question. So really, it's another way of putting this is, if say 12 months from now, you were being featured on Channel 10 or Koshi's Business Builders or some kind of show, and typically the host will ask you, what's your business? What are you known for? Right? So this is, how do you answer that question? Okay, and then more importantly is, if you're, at a networking function, or even just one of your clients that you've helped is out somewhere and they're meeting someone, and they're sharing this great result that you helped them achieve, right? And the person that's asking them the question says, who helped you, and what do they do, right? How would you want that client to respond, right? How would you want them to sell or position your business to someone else in their network? Okay, and a great, I guess, way to answer, or if you're thinking about answering this question and you're not clear, I like to combine who's the target audience, which you answered in the first question, with how do you uniquely serve and support them, right? If you combine those two things together, then you have the answer to this question, which is what do you want to be known for, okay? And this is related to what we call the signature offer, and we'll work together in when we do the strategy workshop together. That is the key piece of that workshop, okay? So for those on the line, please go ahead and have a crack. See if you can, come up with just a short one sentence. What you want to be known for. Some people call it the elevator pitch, right? I don't know about you, but I've not once in my life stood in an elevator and pitched somebody. That just hasn't happened. But maybe you do, and it works for you. Okay, go for it. All right. So just a quick recap, what we've just gone through. We've gone through the discover phase of your marketing strategy. Okay, we've made a note of, your business goals. What are you aiming your marketing towards? Your objectives there. You've started to answer some questions around who your target audience are. There's 4 questions there that we went through. And then we also started to map out what your signature offer is. And that's really what you want to be known for. Who do you serve? How do you serve them? Right? How do you serve them remarkably is even a better way to answer that. So check. We've done that. Okay. The next 2 stages of the framework, we're not going to go through those here, but I'll just talk you through how you would do it. If you were to go off this session here and just make some notes here. First thing you're going to look at is make a list of all the current activities. We're going to diagnose now your current marketing. We'd look at make a list of all the current things you're doing with marketing. Are you doing social media? Are you doing email marketing? Are you paying for ads that go to Google or LinkedIn or Facebook? Are you advertising through podcasts? Are you doing networking events? Or are you part of BNI? Are you, what are all the different things you're doing to market the business? And then, so I'd probably do this, pen and paper or Google Sheet. I'm more of a Google Sheet kind of guy. Just list the activities. And then next to that, the question is it working? Right? And then you can make a note, yes or no. You may even have a comment here saying, and how do you know that it's working? Come back to what's your goal here. If your goal is to generate leads, the question is, well, is that campaign generating leads for me? Right? And if it's not, then you need to make a call as to whether you continue or you improve it or you remove it, right? There's 3 things you can do there. The second thing you want to look at is your channels. Okay, so where are all the different, and this is related to your activities really, right? So if you're advertising through podcasts, podcasts are a channel for you, right? If you're advertising on Google, well, that's a channel, right? So make a list of all the channels. So maybe that spreadsheet would be activity channel. Okay, what's the channel where you're promoting? And then is it working? Okay. And then as you're doing that, the final part of your diagnosis is to look at your sales funnel, or what I like to call the buyer's journey. Okay. And to look at how could someone, as a prospective client, find out about you? What's the first point, right? Are they doing a Google search? And then when they search for, let's say mortgage broker Sydney, right? That your business comes up on that first page in Google. Is that how they find you, right? Is it that it's because of word of mouth? One of your clients has gone out there and is spreading the gospel about what you do, and therefore that's how people are finding out about you. You're going to map that out. So you're going to write it down. This is how, a good way to do it is to look at your last, even just look at your last 5 or 10 clients and just say, how did they get to us? And then what steps did they take in between learning out about us to getting on a call with us or making a purchase, and then what happened afterwards and how long did they stick around, right? So we're mapping all those interactions out. There is a study that Google did, we're going back maybe at least 15 years now, but they call it the 0 moment of truth. You can Google it, a bit of meta there, but it's a study that they did, and they worked out that for most buyers in different industries, they would require at least 7 touch points. I think it may even gone to 11 touch points before they make a purchase. So, they're reading blogs, they're downloading podcasts, they're going to YouTube. There's these interactions that are happening, and Google track all that data. So Google knows everything about us, right? That's a bit scary. But anyway, so you got to think about that, right? For your buyers, typically how many interactions need to happen before they're ready for the conversation to actually buy something from you or learn more about your business. Okay, that's what we call a funnel. Okay. And so you want to map those things out. How do they get to your website? When they're at your website, how do they become a lead, right? Or how do they get onto your newsletter, or how do they make an inquiry? And then from there, what happens if they join your email list? I'm working with a client right now who has a whole list of prospective leads in their email list, but they don't send newsletters. So they're not actually using the email system to nurture those leads and build those relationships, okay? And if the only time you're sending an email to prospective clients is when you're selling them something, that's not a great relationship, is it? Like, think about that for your own relationships in your life, right? If the only time they contact you is when they want money, right? That's not a good feeling on the other side, okay? So mapped out your sales funnel, and then we go to the game plan. Once you have those 2 pieces together, you've done that work, you're going to then map out, okay, what am I doing over the next 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, right? What's the one key project I'm going to work on to generate leads? This is a lead generation activity, right? I'm not just putting stuff on social media because I want to build the brand, right? It's got to be, if I'm going to put stuff on social media, how does that actually pull and attract the right people to get into conversations with us, make an inquiry, download my resource that I put together that's really valuable about our local area, something, whatever it is that you offer, right? And then the third part is for your key project. If you decide to, run some kind of event, right, or put something on, or work with a partner in some way, okay, who do you need to help execute that, right? Or the other question might be, who do you need to help you execute everything else that's going on with your marketing? The admin stuff, your building your creating all your content, all these other things, right? You need to get clear around that as well. Okay, so that's really I've given you 9 different activities here, steps to crafting your marketing strategy for your next 90 days, right? You can take this and go away and work on those, and certainly, even if you've just done like the first couple of things here, you're in a better place than you were before when you don't have those things in place. Okay. All right, now let me just share an actual example of what happens when you actually put these things together. Okay, so one of my clients that I worked with a few years ago, I support is a accounting firm. They're bookkeeping and accounting firm. They support e-commerce businesses looking to scale, and they're called Be Ninjas. And when we started working together, they had some real challenges, right? They were lacking clarity and direction. The results from their marketing were underwhelming, and they were missing a strong foundation to build their content on. Like, they were putting out infrequent blogs and things like this, but it really wasn't getting the traction that they were hoping. Okay, so the solution that we came up with was to actually create a documented content marketing strategy, right? And we focused on a few key areas: unique positioning, which you just saw. We looked at optimizing their site for SEO and their content for search engines. And we looked at building influencer partnerships and relationships where we were getting them in front of other people's audiences, okay? And we did that through guest blogging and podcasting, right? So we found a bunch of different blogs and podcasts to get them onto, and then we made that happen, okay? So over a period of 4 months after putting the plan together, here were the results, right? They doubled the amount of organic search traffic coming to their website. They had a 39% increase in subscribers to their email list. And then they had, on average, 15 leads booked per month with inquiries about their service. Okay. That year, this is 2019 when this all happened, we also won an award. We became Zero Bookkeeping Partner of the Year, 2019 in Australia. So And this business at that point in time had only been around for 3 years, right? So, all because of just the approach we took to marketing and building that business, right? So, and all just started because we had that documented marketing strategy. Okay. So let's recap where we are. You've got 2 paths you can choose from this point on. Okay, I've given you a framework, and now it comes over to you, right? So are you going to choose path A, where you've got these challenges with poor positioning, unclear target audience, doing too much, not optimizing for search engines, or are you going to choose path B, which is to have clear positioning and a well-defined target audience, to have enough and focus on things that are going to move the needle for you, or C, optimizing for search engines and Google, right? Path A or B. Let me know in the chat which one you would like to have. I wonder, Catherine, which would you choose? So getting some B's. I get B's. That's the correct answer, by the way. Okay, so what we've covered so far, we've looked at 3 common mistakes that hold businesses back in lead generation. We've looked at the number 1 factor that separates successful marketing from inconsistent and ineffective marketing. And I've given you a framework for developing a marketing strategy that supports actual business growth. Okay. And now I will spend the next few minutes just looking at how the Growth Hub can support you in achieving success in 2023. And before we go to that, I just want to ask quick check-in with everyone that's on the call. What has been most valuable so far for you? Let me know, right? So what's your number 1 takeaway? Or what's one thing that you're going to do after you leave this session? Let me know in the chat. I'm just going to have a quick sip of my coffee.
You're allowed to have a coffee there, Anf. We have got one question which has popped up, which is, how much budget should you allocate for marketing every month?
Okay, I'm going to come back to that when we get to the Q&A. That is a good question. Right now, it's more about just feedback from people who are online with us. What's been most valuable from this session? All right. Okay. Could be the plan. All right. Okay. Having a framework is helpful. That's good. That's definitely a useful thing to take away from this session. And getting clear with their those 5 key metrics, because they're kind of new for some people, but definitely. All right. So let's talk a bit about our marketing growth strategy and coaching service. So if you are looking for support in developing, your strategy and execution and growth for your business, this is for you. Okay, the sessions, we have 2 sessions. So you work with me for 2 sessions, and this is how it works. They're 90-minute sessions. The first session we go through to discover, we're calling it Diagnose now, but we discover and assess your business. And then the second session, we actually map out your 90-day game plan. Okay. At the end of these sessions, you will have clarity on who you want to be in the market, what your niche is, your signature offer, what channels to target, your number 1 project that you're going to work on over the next 9 days, and we actually map out your game plan. So I'm actually doing that with a couple of people today. We've got them in, this client is using Asana. So we're actually taking it and putting it into Asana as a checklist, and they're assigning it to different people. We're also working out who's doing what activity for that particular key project. All right. So it's not just concepts and strategy. It's actually making the actual game plan and task list that you need to go through to execute. Okay. Upon completion of your marketing strategy sessions with me, with the Growth Hub, you do have the option of joining online group coaching. That's currently launching in February. Someone asked, we're charging $400 per month for that group coaching. It does require that you do have the strategy done first with us, so that we actually have something that we're working on together in your coaching. Okay. And here's a case study from one of our Growth Hub clients, NAV Accountants and Advisors. They are an advisory for property investors and small business owners in Perth, really specialized around tax and helping their clients reduce taxation. Challenge they had was getting clear on their ideal client, taking their business to the next level with more clients. They had a low social media presence and lack of engagement and sales from their existing database. Okay, so this one was, we worked out a 90-day marketing strategy with NAV Accountants, and what they decided what their key project was going to be was a in-person, face-to-face workshop in their office in Perth, and they went ahead and executed on that plan. And here were the results. So they got clear on their target market. They were able to then collaborate with referral partners to reach new prospects, and they delivered a successful in-person event that generated leads and sales for them. And I can tell you they've done really, really well with that particular project. Okay, so that's what's possible when you have a clear strategy, right? So let's talk about the investment for this. It's $19.95 plus GST. You get 2 1.5-hour sessions with me. We work on your game plan, right? That's really what we're doing. All those things that I covered just now. Okay, and the goal here is to really help you to say goodbye to constant overwhelm and have a really clear marketing plan to help you reach your goals. Oh, what's going on there? Okay, and then if you, okay, yep. So if you want to get started with that, we'll drop a link in the chat, but essentially on the screen here, you can just head along to this URL and you can then find out more about this particular service, and you can book in for your marketing growth strategy and game plan sessions. Okay. Now, if you did want to chat with someone and you have some questions about it, you can book a complimentary kickoff call today with our growth specialist, and that's most likely going to be Catherine. And you can learn, and she'll guide you through, answering questions about the service and what you're trying to achieve and what's the best way to go forward with that. Okay. And you can do that at the same link. And if we can get Shay, if you're there, we can drop the link in the chat for our guests. That would be really cool. Okay. All right. So I want to say thank you. You're amazing. Thank you for joining us today. If you're watching the replay, thanks for watching watching this recording. And now we're going to flip over. There was a question here. Okay. The question was, Catherine, could you just read that question to me again, please?
Absolutely. So it was a question from Amal just before you drop off, because I know you've said you need to leave. So we're looking at your question now. So how much AMP should you budget each month? How much should you be allocating for marketing?
Yeah, so that question is a good, it really depends on, this is why it's important for us to understand what is your cost per lead, right? So if you know that, if you could spend, let's say $100 to get a lead, right? Then it's very easy for you to allocate a budget to that. Right. But if you're just starting out, you don't know, my suggestion would be to run a campaign, right? Whether this is where you map out what your campaign or your project's going to be for the next 90 days. That's specific on lead generation, right? You work out how much that's going to cost you. And then you have to work out, okay, how many leads come from that event or that campaign you run, right? That's going to then give you that number that we know, which is cost per lead. That then helps you to understand for the next campaign that you run, you can allocate this amount of money, to this much amount of spend. You're willing to put that into marketing because on the flip side, how many leads that's going to bring to the business, or you can have a rough idea. I think it's very difficult just to throw numbers. Typically, for more established businesses that I work with, they allocate at least 5 to 10% of their annual revenue, their revenue, as a marketing spend, and that's more of a rough percentage that they like to use. Okay, so I mean, if you want to use it as a rough guide, you can, but I think the best way to do it is to run a campaign, work out your cost per lead, and then from there you've got real data-driven numbers that you can use to plan your next your spend for the next quarter. Does that help?
That's a great answer, and I love with all of the discussion today. It's just so measurable, and it's not. I think when people often think of marketing as being fluffy, and you knock the fluff right out of it. It's all measurable. It's about results. It's about things that you can actually see the results and understand your spend as well. So great answer. I think just while we're seeing if there are any other questions, one question I've got, Anf, is that I often hear from clients or potential clients, at what stage of their business life is it a good idea to do this marketing work? So is it good to do it at a startup stage? Is it good to do it when your business is more mature? What are sort of the indicators to know if this is the right time for your business to jump on in and do this work?
I think, at any stage, at all stages, it's important. Definitely when you're starting out and you're launching a new business, you need to get very clear on how you're going to do that. We call that a go-to-market strategy. So, otherwise you're just throwing things at the wall and you're hoping they're going to stick. And in most cases with startups, you run out of money before you get to the thing that you want, right? So, if you've got a limited spend, like you can't just keep buying things and, paying for expensive coaches that you can't afford and all these other things that typically happen. I know I've been there. And so, definitely at the startup, and also for established businesses, having a strategy like this can really bring your team into focus, right? So then you're not having, whether it's you've got your champion assistant out there, or you've got multiple champions, or you have, an SEO agency. When I was leading the marketing for Hub Australia co-working space, we had a plan for the year with a 12-month plan. Then we broke that down into quarterly, and then we broke that down into monthly, and then into weekly. So we were that defined because we had a team that I was coordinating 3 community managers in 3 different locations across Australia, and they helping them create content. And then we had 800 members across Australia that we had to interact with on an ongoing basis. And then we had to generate more people coming in, prospective members. And then we were also working with a PR agency and as well as an SEO agency. So I'm managing all these different parts to it, right? Imagine trying to do that without having a clear plan of where you're going and how you're measuring all those different activities. Okay. Yeah. So, and we were spending, in excess of like $50,000, a month, right? So that's a lot of money just to go out there and not know what's happening with it, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely important. And just it's easy, to show up to a meeting with your team, whether you're doing a weekly check-in with your assistant, for example, to bring it back to the small business, and just go, okay, this is our goal. This is where we're trying to get to this month. We're going to run this one event or is one promotion, right? And these are the 10 things that need to happen. And you're going to help us do these 10, 5 or whatever things. I'm going to do these things. It's just very clear, right? Yeah. Otherwise your team gets lost. They feel like, oh, what am I doing? And as business owners, we can sometimes get down in the pits when we feel that we're not making progress, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. I love hearing the presentation. Every time you present, there's more nuggets that come out. There's more pieces of, oh wow, that's a great idea. I could do that. That would be amazing to implement. So amazing presentation. I've got a question that maybe people watching this may be too afraid to ask, which is, oh my God, I'm a business owner. I've already got too much on my plate. I can't cope with everything I've got to do at this point. Taking on doing this work just seems like more. I'm scared because I don't think I can cope. How would you answer that?
Well, this is a common thing that we hear. So I hear it, and it's something I've said multiple times in my career running my own business. And It's always been a good mentor of mine once said, it's not that you don't have enough time. So if you're someone that's saying, I don't have enough time to do all the things, flip that time into team, and then you've got your answer, right?
Oh, beautiful answer. Yeah, that's amazing.
Right. And so it's more around, okay, where do I need to invest in team to really take on some of these things? And in most cases, the hardest part for, a business owner, particularly if you're flying solo, is to let go of the things that you do okay, right? You can do, certainly you can send emails to people and do follow-up emails, and certainly you can, jump into Canva and spend 30 minutes or an hour doing your next social media graphic, or editing videos. But really, is that the best utilization of your skill set and your ability to actually, and your energy that you have for your business to get out there and talk to prospective clients and get them enrolled and excited about the thing that you do for them, right? And then that's where you start to think about, okay, well, it might be a good idea to speak to someone like the Growth Hub and bring on, what we call a champion, or someone that we literally say they're a champion for your business, right? A virtual assistant or some support to actually help you do the things.
Yeah, amazing. I know that we're a little bit over time, so being respectful of your time and everyone also that's watching this now or watching it as a replay, thank you so much. Anf, you are amazing. Thank you for sharing with us today. And I'm sure many people watching this will be reconnecting with you in the future.
Absolutely. And yep, thanks so much, Catherine, for hosting today and for sharing all your wisdom as well.
Pleasure.
And shout out to Shay, our tech guru there, helping us make the system work. And if you're interested in learning more about what we do, the link's on the screen, and we'll share that on through the emails to you as well, and get in touch with the Growth Hub. We're here to help. Have a great day, everyone.
Okay, bye.